Hi, this is Dr. Bill Schenck, and welcome to our Beyond Wellness series. And this is about the immune systems, how to keep yourself resilient so you don't get sick. We're going to wait about 2 minutes for a couple of more people to come on, and then we'll go ahead and start. So, in just a minute, then we'll go live. So, this is typically a class that I do at this time of year to really help you to focus in on how do you prepare your body for the coming season? Because we typically see an increase in illnesses this time of year. So, what can you do to really not get sick and to keep your body really healthy? So, I'm going to go over some basics about the immune system, and then we'll get started in just a minute. Give people about another minute to come on. All right, you should be seeing the first screen, the first slide up there now. And this is about 5 steps of how to really keep your body healthy. And we're going to break it down and keep it as simple and basic as we can. The first of all, let's establish some goals, because if you don't have any goals in mind, that it's just a wish. So you really have to establish some outcomes, that the outcome that you want you to see, it wants you to have, is a plan of how to get healthy and to stay healthy. We're first of all going to talk about what are the basics of the immune system, how it works, what are the two basic parts of it. And then we're going to talk about what weakens your immune system, because so many people I see are making mistakes that really knock down your immune system. Then we're going to talk about what things build it up. How do you maintain your strength of the immune system? And last, what do you do if you start feeling sick? And I'll tell you the steps that I do and things that you can do also to keep yourself healthy. So let's dive right in. So fundamentally, you have this primary immune system you're born with. It's called your innate immune system. And everybody has it. Okay, this is comprised of your cells and barriers of the body. It's a fast acting. It's always ready. It's things like your skin. It's the mucous membrane. It's the cilia that's in your lungs and your nasal cavities. This is what has to protect us. These are barriers, and it's the cells that are embedded in these tissues. This is part of your innate immune system. Now, the second part of your immune system is called your acquired immune system. This is something that you develop, and it's made up of T cells and B cells. I'm sure you've heard about these over time. Its purpose is to distinguish and to learn what's you and what's not you. And so there are very particular markers on all your cells that distinguish you, and there's not those markers or other markers that are things that are outside of you, that don't belong to you. So this system identifies and distinguishes between what's you and what's not you. It's a very elaborate system, and it's interconnected. It also works with the innate immune system. So you have the innate and you have the acquired, and they work together to keep you healthy. So this is a question for you. So what percentage of your white blood cells what percentage of your cells in your blood are white blood cells? Is it 50%? Is half the cells white blood cells? Or is it 25 or 10 or 1%? Just think about this. What do you think it is, right? Well, it's only 1% of your cells in your bloodstream are your white blood cells. So not a lot of them relative to the red blood cells that are there. And the second question that I have for you is, what organ is surrounded by 70% of your immune cells? So of all the immune cells in your body, 70% of them surround this one organ. What do you think it is? Is it your liver? Is it your heart? Is it your brain? Actually, it's the lowly large intestine. Your large intestine is surrounded by 70% of your white blood cells. Isn't that amazing? So you think, if 70% of my white blood cells surround my gut, then that's a really important part to take care of. You're absolutely right. So then you ask yourself, why do we get sick? What weakens our immune system? Does it just happen by accident? Is it because you were exposed to somebody that sneezed on you? I don't think so. So is it bacteria and viruses and funguses that make us sick? Well, as we find out more about what's going on around us and in us, we've discovered something called the human microbiome. In this part of us, this human microbiome, this is the trillions of cells that aren't us, that are living on us and in us, the bacteria, funguses, and yeast that are around us, and they outnumber us 10 to 1. In fact, there is more bacterial DNA in you, about 100 times more than your own DNA by weight. So that's how prevalent they are. So it's critically important, this interface that we have between the human microbiome, those bugs that are in us, and our own cells. Now, it's interesting things like you can change your microbiome, but how you live, what you eat, and your lifestyle. It's up to you. And you have responsibility for this. The fascinating thing about the human microbiome, just a little detail, is that the further you live away from the earth, I mean, like let's say you live on the 32nd floor of an apartment building in New York City, you have much less diversity in the human microbiome in your gut. You become fewer and fewer number of microbes. Whereas if you live much closer to the earth, let's say you live in a dirt hut, there's lots of microbiomes, much more prevalent than yours and mine. Okay, so the more closer to earth you live, the more diverse you have, the more number you have of your human microbiome, the bugs in your gut. Not a bad thing. So what weakens your immune response? So question for you, what food does the following to you? Okay, if you consume this food, it reduces your white blood cell activity for up to 5 hours. If you consume this, the white blood cells, the innate immune response of the body, is knocked down for up to 5 hours by consuming this one food. And it competes with your vitamin C. It also can cause a hyper response, too strong a response of your immune system. It also can then signal your allergies and autoimmune diseases. What's this one food? It's sugar, right? And it's part of everyone's diet. It's not just sugar. It's sugar in all of its forms. And it's in what's called high glycemic foods that readily break down into sugar. These are things that actually convert into sugar rapidly. Even whole wheat will do this for you. Breads, pastas, cookies, things like this, cakes, and all these things, these convert rapidly into sugar in your body. A low nutrient diet also suppresses the immune system. This is what we call the AllAmerican Diet. If you look at the right side, this is not an uncommon diet for many Americans. This is just what they normally eat. It's low in nutrients, high in calories, remember, but low in nutrients. So it's not very nutrient dense, but calorie dense. Low fiber, so it tends to get sluggish in the gut. There's little, if any, healthy bacteria in this. It's also little, if any, what's called omega-3 oils. That's the typical American diet. It sets the stage for getting sick. Stress, okay? We all deal with this. Now, in the short term, it's a very good thing. It can save your life. It can run from a tiger or help you jump out of the way of a moving car. It readies the body for action. Okay, we have to have this, and it keeps us alive. All right, but at the expense of growth and repair in your immune system. So you can't both run from a tiger and fight off a bacterial infection at the same time. It's either one or the other. It's a lot, but long-term stress isn't good for you. Okay, so short-term, really good thing. Long-term, it's bad for you. Okay, and here's what happens: put your immune system into its low gear. So how much stress is too much? Well, it all varies based upon our capacity, right? And perhaps what's gone on in the past with us, what's happened with us in the past. But clearly, here's what happens with it. This is prolonged, elevated levels of stress. Stress that doesn't go away. Stress that interrupts your sleep. It's something I call stress that owns you. I think we've all experienced this, is that stress just really takes a hold of us tonight. A thought or idea or an emotion that just drives us, won't leave us alone. This continues for a long time. It elevates a hormone in your body called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a good thing for short time, but bad thing long term. Here's what happens with elevated levels of cortisol. So stick with me for a second. So if you have high levels of cortisol for a long period of time, here's what happens. It reduces your muscle mass. 2, it increases something called your visceral fat, something we call visceral adipose tissue. This is the fat that surrounds organs. This is bad fat for you. 3rd, it increases cravings and appetites. You actually crave the food that you shouldn't be having, oftentimes late at night. It increases an immune response called a Th2 response. And this then leads to a leaky gut, which can then contribute to allergies. It also affects a primary gland in your brain called your pituitary gland. This is one of this is like the conductor of all your hormones in your body. And this is what happens. It lowers testosterone. Not a good thing for men or for women. It also then reduces something called human growth hormone, something we must have to stay healthy and to repair tissues, even as adults. We also see that it decreases the size of the frontal lobe over time. I don't think any of us can afford to have that. It also shrinks and can damage our hippocampus. Now, your hippocampus is where you form new memories. Damage there can lead to any number of diseases it's called neurodegenerative diseases. It accelerates blood sugar elevation, keeps your blood sugar high, not a good thing, and it accelerates bone loss. This is for prolonged elevations of cortisol over a long period of time. None of these things are good for you. So handling stress is critical for your health and for your longevity. The next thing that affects our body is in terms of stress on a physical level. And I see this every day in the practice, is that people come in with really poor posture. The muscles are exhausted, they have movement that's too much in one direction. And this is sort of what it looks like. We call this text neck. You'd look at any teenager these days and their head is down like this a good part of the day. It's prevalent. What happens is that the neck is beginning to wear out and it forms what's called degeneration in teenagers. We're seeing degeneration happen in teenage spines that doesn't typically show up till people are 40, 45 years of age. When they hit 40, 45, it's not going to look good. So spinal misalignments of the spine contribute to stress. And here's what happens to it. The postural distortions associated with that elevate the stress, the cortisol levels in the body, and then it suppresses, as a result of that, your immune system. Too little sleep. A lot of Americans are prone to this. I think the advent of the incandescent light bulb has been just a really bad effect on our bodies. I know this is one of the things that I really struggle with. I was going to bed early enough at night, but here's what too little sleep can do for you. It actually increases inflammation of the body. It can lead to an overstimulation of your immune system, too high of immune system. Can increase risk of diabetes and also even cancer. Too little sleep equals elevated cortisols. Because irregular sleep, it disrupts your circadian rhythm every day. Not a good thing long-term for you. Lack of movement, not moving your body enough, certainly can contribute to a decrease in your immune function because it mobilizes something called your lymphatic system. Now, your lymph system, think of it as your garbage collection system of the body. It also stimulates your brain. Movement does. Your lymphatic system, think of it this way. If your lymphatic system didn't collect the garbage, it would be like if the garbage man didn't show up for weeks and garbage just piled up on the end of the street, end of your driveway. It would get pretty stinky. And it would attract rats and flies, perhaps, or rodents. Now, obviously, the rats and the rodents didn't cause the garbage. The garbage caused the rabbits, the rodents, and the flies. And so in order to get rid of the rodents and the flies, you have to get rid of the garbage. So your lymphatic system is what moves this garbage out of your cells and allows the body to detox that way. So not moving enough is one of the contributing factors to creating cellular toxicity in the body. So what sets the stage for illnesses? Well, we know this. Eating high glycemic foods on a regular basis, unmitigated or prolonged stress, eating a low fiber, a low nutrient diet on a consistent basis, not getting enough sleep, and not moving your body. So those things set the stage for getting sick. But you asked yourself the question, the whole purpose, also having subluxations of the spine will do that as well. But you asked the question, well, how do I stay healthy? And that's what you're here for, right? So let me share with you 5 tips and 5 secrets of which you can do on a regular basis to keep your body healthy. Because without a plan, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just a wish. And if you just wish for health, it probably won't happen. You have to make a plan and execute that. So first of all, get proper sleep. Now there's a whole protocol we call proper sleep hygiene so that your body can slow down, can recover, and repair. Because when you're sleeping is when the body repairs itself. You need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every night. And the vast majority of people need 8 hours of sleep. It is the rare individual, research says, about 1 in 10,000, that can sleep less than 7 hours a night on a regular basis and not be affected by that. Get to bed by 10 o'clock. And when you're in your bedroom, dark. Okay, lights out in that room. No, not even a light from a clock. Keep the bedroom dark. You can also go to bed on an empty stomach because digestion is the second most energy intense activity that you can do. And if you're digesting food when you're sleeping, you're not resting. You're not going to get a good night's rest. Move your body on a regular basis. But at least 3 times a week, you want to do some sort of burst activity. You want to get your heart rate up and do what's called anaerobic activity. Has a whole different benefit to the body than just walking does. Very healthy for your immune system, very stabilizing for your blood sugar, helps to lower cortisol or your stress levels as well. Healthy eating. So fundamentals of this, I teach a whole 2 modules on this one, okay? But here's the basics. Nutrient-dense and plant-based foods as your primary source of your food. Think about a rainbow of color every day in your food. You want to get as many colors in as you can, because every color is a different phytonutrient. It's a different component of the spectrum of foods and nutrients that our body needs. Every day you want to have a live food, something that has live bacteria in it. It helps to nourish our large intestines. You want to have food that's high in omega-3 oils, because otherwise we do not get that in our diet on a regular basis. Olive oils and coconut oils are excellent for you. You can also do like a grass-fed butter, excellent for your bodies. High quality proteins, it's essential for the body. You can live the rest of your life without a carbohydrate. It's not essential for life, but you must have protein and you must have fats in order to survive. Without carbohydrates, it would probably be very boring, and you'd shift into something called ketosis. But you must have protein. If you're going to have protein, make sure it's clean protein. You want to have grass-fed or pasture-raised meats or wild-caught fish, not the Atlantic salmon that's in the store. Who knows what they feed that stuff? It's all pen-raised or farm-raised, and we don't know what's in the food. Now, another part of eating is actually not eating, and this is something we call intentional intermittent fasting. We're actually just fasting. So think about this as either intermittent fasting or timed eating. So eat within a block each day. So you try to minimize the number of hours a day that you're eating food. In this case, 8 or 10 hours. Let me give an example. So let's say you had an early lunch at 11 a.m. and you finished dinner then at 7 p.m. So you're not eating after you finish dinner until 11 o'clock the next day. So that's about a 15, 16-hour period where your body's not eating. It gives your body a chance to rest, particularly your GI tract and your liver. It gives them a chance to rest. It helps to detoxify. And also a very important concept we call autophagy. This is where the body cleans up its own debris and toxins. Now, if you break down the word, auto means self, and phagy means to eat, or phage means to eat. So the body's actually, it's sort of self-eating, but it's eating is breaking down the things that are the debris and the garbage and the weakened cells. This gives the body a chance to clean itself up. So at least 3 times a week, do that, like skip breakfast and just go lunch to dinner. Now, obviously, if you have blood sugar issues, you want to monitor that closely, but most people do really well by just giving their body a chance to rest and to go through a little bit of digestive, give them a little bit of a holiday for the GI tract. So you have to eat healthy foods, but also then you give your body a chance by not eating. And the longer that you fast, the more you clean up. Number 4, mitigate stress every day. So exercise, acts of kindness to others. I can't tell you how important, if I don't feel very good, in the morning I come in and I just loving and serving people. By mid-morning, I'm feeling great, okay? Just by giving to other people, doing something for others can really help your body just to normalize and get your mind off yourself and to feel better and stimulate your own immune system. Journal on a regular basis. Let me give you an example of what to do. Just write down 3 new gratitudes every day. So you can't say, I love my wife, I love my dog, things like this. So something different every day. Write down 3 different gratitudes that you are thankful for on a daily basis. And there's something unique about writing. So it's not just like you think about it. Physically writing something down, getting outside of you and looking at it does something very different to the body. So journal, and particularly write down things you're grateful for every day. Meditation. Meditation has been shown to have a powerful effect on your immune system. And we think because it dramatically reduces your stress hormone and it helps the brain to coordinate itself between different lobes. Getting adjusted. I know that I'm not feeling good. If I get adjusted, I certainly feel better. And I can't tell you the number of people that get up off the table, they say, boy, I feel so much better after the adjustment. We know this what happens. It reduces your stress hormones. It boosts your immune response, reduces pain, increases oxygen to your tissues. So interestingly, I was part of a study where we actually studied this in school. We saw people before and after adjustment, and we found that people that after an adjustment, it doubles the ability of their white blood cells to kill bacteria within 15 minutes of an adjustment. So I was part of the study, and I actually helped to do the blood draws for this before pre and post. And it was fascinating to see this happen because people, half the population had a chiropractor, skilled chiropractor, just put their hands on their back. Now their white blood cells went up a little bit, but people that actually had their hands put on their back and were adjusted, we saw a dramatic increase in people's ability of the white blood cells to kill bacteria within 15 minutes of an adjustment. Really fascinating to do that. So if you feel sick, definitely come in and get adjusted. They'll help your body to heal faster. So we talked about the foundations of the immune system. Move your body well, eat well, and handle stress daily. These are the foundations. So you move well, eat well, handle stress daily, get adjusted on a regular basis. Now, there are unique nutritional supplements as well. I take supplements on a regular basis because I want to live a long, healthy life. And people that take supplements tend to live a longer, healthy life. They go to the hospital less often, they take fewer drugs, and they tend to have a greater vitality in life. In fact, 84% of American adults take vitamins. But if you're going to take something that's going to help your immune system. So let me share with you what we know. These are the fundamental ones. There's many other ones that can affect unique parts of your immune system, but particularly want to help your immune system stay healthy relative to viruses and bacteria that typically around this time of year. These are the supplements. First of all, vitamin C, foundational. You want to take a vitamin C that is time release. So something that doesn't release all at once because it's a water-soluble vitamin. If you were to take 1,000 milligrams all at once, it would load into your system and most of it would spill out through your kidneys. So you want to get a time-release vitamin C so that your body can slowly absorb it over time. Vitamin D, critically important. Let me just give you an example how this is so important. I have not found anybody in Vermont that has a healthy, normal level of vitamin D that's not taking a fair amount of that. Now, a healthy level, between 50 and 80, what's called nanograms per deciliter. I've never found anybody anywhere near that level that's not taking a good amount of vitamin D. So average adult needs to 5,000 IU. Now, if you hold on to a lot of extra weight, you're going to need much more than this because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It tends to be sequestered and be stored in the fat. So the bottom line, you want to get your blood levels checked at some point. Typically, I recommend at the end of the summer, which would be your natural high point of the year, or at the end of the winter, which would be your natural low point of the year. Okay, and you can gauge it from that. You want to get your levels between 50 and 80 nanograms per deciliter. It's a good sweet spot in there. And then to maintain that, the sickest people I've seen have been people with the lowest vitamin D levels. And it's hard to get it up sometimes for a long period of time, so you got to keep at it. So stay with 5,000 IU a day. It's a safe level. Children take proportionally lower than that relative to their weight. Zinc. You probably heard a lot about zinc lately. Here's what we know about zinc. It has a powerful effect on the immune system, but particularly important relative to viruses is that if it gets into the nucleus of your cells, it prevents the cell from replicating viruses. But it's hard for zinc to get inside the nucleus. It needs an escort, something called ionophore. And one of the unique ionophores is something called quercetin. Think of an escort is something that carries something through a barrier, through a door, allows something to go into that. Because zinc does not easily get into the nucleus of your cells where your DNA is. So it needs an escort, and quercetin will do that. And you want the zinc in there because then it helps prevent the viral replication on your own DNA. Something called NAC, N-acetylcysteine. This is very powerful for your lung tissue. Okay, very good for that. All these supplements in something called EGCG is found in something we call this immune defense pack. And these are all in one packet of things. And it's just, just keep it simple. Just take one packet a day. Take it in the morning or at lunch and just fill in the gaps because I can guarantee you, you don't get all this stuff in your diet. If you want to order some of this, go to our website, VizuriHealth.com, go to the resources tab and scroll down to supplements. And you can order from Metagenics and just look up immune defense pack and order it through there. Easy enough. And just take one packet a day. You can be put on auto ship. So you can just keep 1 month, keep coming. There's 30 packets in this. Just take one a day. Simple. They cost about a cup of coffee a day. Pretty easy to do to stay healthy with this. So, what do you do if you feel a cold coming on? Well, here's what I do. First of all, first thing I do is I decide not to get sick. It sounds kind of silly, like almost like sophomorish, right? But that decision also means that I'm not going to eat crappy food. I'm going to get a good night's rest. I'm also going to not hold on to stress. So, in that decision to not get sick, okay, that means I have to take extra special care of myself. I'm not going to be stressed out. I'm not going to exercise excessively. Go to bed early that night, and I'm going to eat lighter that day and certainly avoid sugar. So, in that decision not to get sick, you're going to make some good decisions. Number two, no sugar is part of that, right? Reduce my eating in total. So, I'm eating really lightly, and I finish eating and let my body go through a rest period. Same, you've heard this before. Go to bed, rest, and drink plenty of fluids. Critical for this. And take your supplements. I usually double up on my supplements during that time because my body, even if I'm not eating, the need for nutrients actually goes up tremendously when your body is detoxing, when it's healing. It needs actually more than typical. Tonight we went over several things about basics, how your immune system works. We talked about what weakens your immune system, things you need to avoid on a regular basis. Talked about what builds up and strengthens your immune system. And then also what to do if you start feeling sick, some basics of what you can do to keep your body from getting sick, because no one wants to be sick. I don't have time for that. And I know you don't either. So we're going to then transition over to any questions that you may have. So please, if you have questions, you can load them into the chat. Oh, I see lots of you have logged on. All right. So one of the questions that I see is, can you take more vitamin C? You certainly can take more vitamin C than 1,000 milligrams a day. You can actually increase your level quite a bit slowly over time. At some point, you'll reach what's called bowel tolerance, and you want to back off from that. But if you're taking a high level of vitamin C, you never want to stop suddenly. You want to taper down off of that by about 1,000 milligrams a day. Otherwise, your body will go through something called a rebound scurvy, short term, but it can be uncomfortable. So you can go up for vitamin C, but stay at the level and taper down gently. Okay. Yes, there will be a written copy of this that you can download, and this talk is saved as well, and it's on our YouTube channel, and you can go into YouTube and pick it up there or share it with your friends and family as well. Other things that people want to know. Oh, one of the docs on, he said you can also take thymus, which is what's called a protomorphogen. It's a derivative actually from usually bovine or cow-based thymus. You can take that. It really is a good boost for your immune system. I didn't get into the glandular portion of it, but you can certainly take a thymus, it's called a core level thymus or a thymogen PMG to really help to boost your immune system over a long period of time. There's tons more you could talk about the immune system. This was the foundational stuff today. Okay. Oh, can I take too much vitamin D? Yes, you can take too much vitamin D. You have to take a lot of it for a long period of time to take too much vitamin D. Some interesting studies with this. People that live in the sun, like farmers and fishermen and women that are out there in the sun every day, their natural vitamin D levels get up to about 110, 120 nanograms per deciliter with apparent no ill side effects. So your body seems to be very tolerant to high levels of vitamin D, but that's a naturally sourced people getting it from the sun. But in Vermont, remember, you can't get enough from the sun. The angle of the sun is insufficient to cause a conversion of cholesterol into vitamin D in your body. So you really do need to take it from the outside. And I'd also recommend that at least once a year, get it checked to make sure that you're taking enough. And on the odd chance you may be taking too much, we could back you off from that as well. Okay, any more questions? Oh, great suggestion from Dr. Westenholm is that the mini trampoline is a great mobilizer of your lymphatic system. In fact, it's called a lymphocyzer. So just tiny ankle bounces on a mini trampoline mobilize your lymphatic system. One of the great things to do to help to certainly calm a baby, but also mobilize your lymphatic system. Oh, question about modified fasting with low blood sugar. First of all, you want to get your blood sugar stabilized. So a modified diet for that. Let's first get your blood sugar stable, and so it's not dropping too low before you go on any sort of prolonged or intermittent fasting. And also have a glucometer, something that you can check at home, so you get to measure your own glucose levels. They're readily available on the web these days. You can, it's pretty inexpensive to buy a glucometer, little finger prick and a little indicators that you can put in the machine. Very readily available. It's a good measuring tool to see the effect that food has on your blood sugar. Oh, question about juicing veggies. Vegetable juice is a wonderful way to get a high level of nutrients into your body. You'll consume the nutrient value of vegetables in a very of many more than you could possibly eat in a glass of vegetable juice. One caveat with that: if you're doing a lot of root vegetables, carrots and beets, tends to have very high sugar, and you'd be consuming far more carrots or beets than you would possibly eat in a meal, and it will tend to have an elevated effect on your blood sugar. So just moderate with um, not taking too much of the root vegetables, of the carrots and beets, if you're going to juice vegetables. Question: somebody that B12 with a plant-based diet. I know of no way to get B12 into your body on a plant-based diet unless you're eating food that wasn't well washed, that was grown in soil that had that was fertilized naturally. So you really do need to take B12. If you're a true vegetarian, there's no other way that I know to get B12 in your system. And the thing about B12 is you don't know if you're low until things start to really go wrong with your body. You can get your levels checked, make sure that you're not too low. But my understanding is that 30% of people that have normal levels of B12 in their blood still show evidence of B12 deficiency. So blood test isn't always accurate with B12, particularly if you're having a diet that's not that's a vegetarian or vegan diet. Okay. Some other questions that are very particular for people. Um, Zinc deficiency is extremely common. It's been estimated that 30 to 40% of adults have a frank zinc deficiency in the body, and it's so critical for a number of things. It's needed for memory, for wound healing, for your immune system. Men need a lot of zinc, so it's really prevalent in American diet. And remember, you can take zinc and it can do all the other things that are good for your body, but it doesn't get into the nucleus of the cell without an escort, one of the ionophores. And quercetin is one of the easy ones to take for that. If there are no um, other questions, then I will wrap this up. I want to thank you all for participating and for playing full out. And I hope this was helpful for you to understand the fundamentals of your immune system, how to avoid the things that make you sick, how to do active activities and proactive things you can do on a daily basis to keep yourself healthy, and then different supplements that are important to help boost your immune system, particularly right now, to keep yourself strong. Because none of us have time to be sick, and I certainly don't want to lay in bed just recovering. I don't think you do either. So this is Dr. Bill Schenck signing off. Take good care and look forward to seeing you soon.